there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you are new here, I am a part-time reseller that goes around to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, and finds things that I attempt to flip for a profit on eBay. This week is, it's not this week. This is Ching number 52. This is for the 3 days, July 25th, 26th, and 27th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was running, I think, a 10% off sale on most items in the store. I had 23 orders. I made, let's see, $635 in gross sales. So that's all in, including shipping and taxes. We had $392.68, which was the price that I agreed upon with the buyer. I had $68.08 into it, and so after fees and cost of goods, my profit was $258.50. I had something that I lost money on, but I've had it for over the year, and I almost made all my money back, so I went ahead and let that go. I had something that I made $50 on, so that's great. My average for these 3 days was $11.24. My margin was right at 66%. So I come up with my margin based off of my profit versus the agreed upon price with the buyer. So what it sold for, excluding taxes and shipping. That may not be the right way to calculate it, but for me, that's how I measure success, is the profit versus what I sold it for. Let's see, I had something that sold within a day of listing it. I have something that took 458 days to sell. My average was 155, which is incredibly high. Before I started trying to clear out my old inventory, it was sitting right around 80 to 90. I've been running about 120, so 155 means I cleared out a bunch of old stuff, which brings me a lot of joy. Let's see, had 19 kind of bread and butter items, which is profit of $15 or less on that item. And I had 4 that were above the $15 per item profit. If you're new here, my goals usually are right around $15 in profit per item. I try to list 5 things and sell 5 things per day. I way exceeded the selling 5 things per day. So as I've been clearing out the old inventory, I'm trying to right size my store, get rid of the old stuff, bring in some new stuff that should sell for faster and better profits. And I think you'll see that in the numbers today. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing this sold was a pair of Vibram 5-finger shoes. If you're not familiar with these are a good pickup if you find them. I paid $1 for these at a yard sale back in June. They sold for $34, and so I made $21.83 in just 0 days. I think there was a coupon on my store when those sold, so I don't think they actually sold for $34. I think they sold for like $28 or $29. Next up is part of a FisherPrice family play village. This was part of the main street. I picked this up at the bins back in April. It sold for $15.30. I had 78-cent cost of goods that day, and so I made $10.05 in 99 days. I've had folks ask me, like, how do I keep my shipping down? Because quite honestly, there was a day in here where I think I sold like 13 or so things in a 24-hour period, 8 or 9 of which went into boxes that were not like normal size boxes that I keep on hand. I have my mother actually goes around on trash day and picks up boxes that are by people's mailboxes in my neighborhood. She lives very close to me. She likes doing it. It's a treasure hunt for her. Like today, she dropped off a whole bunch of them. So she saves me a lot of money by doing that, and I have told her that. And yeah, anyway, thanks, Mom. Next is a hand-painted porcelain vintage oriental fishbowl. This was something I was hoping that was going to sell for more. It did not. I got an offer for $15, so I went ahead and accepted it. I had paid $5.99 for this at a regular Goodwill back in November. So I made $5.16 after 247 days. Next is an Ark of the Covenant board game. I highly recommend if you see a board game that's a little bit different, take a look at it. I paid $3.28 for this at a thrift store, a local thrift store. It sold for $18, and so I made $11.38 after 154 days. Next is a Diane von Furstenberg dress. I think the style of this one did not make it worth as much as some other Diane von Furstenberg dresses. If you find the ones that are wrap dresses, pick those up. That's like her classic style. I did only pay $1 for this at a yard sale back in September. So when I got an offer for $18, I said adios, and I made $11.72 after 305 days. Next item is a Disney Parks Loungefly bag. This was the purple potion bag. It was sequined. It had been worn a lot. My oldest kiddo pulled this out with her closet clean out. It was not in like new condition, so I couldn't ask as much for it. It sold for $35. We didn't have anything into it, so we made $29.42 in just 11 days. Next is a J. Jill shirt. Very boho, very beachy, light blue cash, pleated, lagging look. I had a whopping dollar into this from the bins back in earlier July. It sold for $15.20, so I made $11.64 in just 15 days. Next is a Hasbro Baby Alive replacement bottle. If you don't know that you should pick up replacement bottles, that's cool. Let me tell you, you should, especially if they're branded. So this one did say Baby Alive on it, and so I went ahead and snagged that at the bins. It was $1 cost of goods. It sold for $7.20, and so I made $4.36 in 42 days. Next is something that came out of my parents' clean out of their white milk glass. This was a vintage Pittman, sorry, this is very small, Dreitzer colony lace cake plate stand. It was really, really pretty. Nothing into it. It sold for $23.49, and so my parents will get $15 from that, and it had been listed for 8 days. I think I've been selling about a piece of milk glass a week. I don't think I have, but maybe 1 or 2 pieces left to sell. I have some really pretty like Kemple vases, and then I think I have like a fan. I don't think it's hobnail. I think it's like a diamond pattern, but it's really pretty as well. So anyway, speaking of another breakable, this is a Robinson Ramsbottom blue spongeware pottery pitcher, 1 quart from Roseville. It did have a chip on the lip, which is why it was not worth as much. I picked these up at the Red, White, and Blue back in a trip to Florida in May/June. I bought a whole set of 7 for $10, so I had $1.53 into this piece. It sold for $11.20, and so I made $6.37 in 46 days. Next is a fossil bag that when I accepted this offer, I thought I had this was one of the ones I had had for a really long time. Turns out I had just picked it up in June. This is a teal fossil crossbody. I did pay $5.14 for this at a local Goodwill. It sold for, I got an offer for $13. I said, cool, I'll take that. And so I made $5.48 in 39 days. Should I have waited? Maybe. Let's just take the money and run, guys. That's my motto sometimes. All right, next up is something I will never buy again. This was a Presto pressure cooker. It had the jiggler, 6 quart. I paid $8.62 for this at a local thrift store back in September. It's been setting, so I got an offer for $15, and I said bye-bye. I made, let's see, $6.84 after 312 days. Look, I don't get upset about when I don't make a big profit. I look at it as a lesson learned. I was able to sell it. I did move it on. Lesson learned. Don't pick that up again unless you're okay with the amount of space that it takes up and the amount of time that it sits. and the lower profit. Like if you got it for $1, maybe it's worth it. But for the price that I paid for it, it was not worth it. Next is a little charm bracelet. It was bell beads. I have nothing into this from an auction last April. It sold for $6.37, so I made $4.96 after 414 days. Next is a Ralph Lauren plaid houndstooth shoulder bag. I thought this one was going to sell for more, but it had been sitting for a while, so I went ahead and put it in my sale, and I had paid $6.44 for this at a local Goodwill back in February. It sold for $19.80, so I made $8.37 in 156 days. Another thing that I would not pick up again, this was a large art vase. It could have been an urn. It was very much MCM. I think it was even signed on the bottom from the 70s. It was super cute. I paid $10 for it at an estate sale last July, and it went on sale for $26.05, and it sold. So I made $11.18 after 386 days. It wasn't worth the effort to pack it up. If you see, I had a lot of breakables during this time. I don't mind selling breakables. I haven't had anything break in a while. I hate to say a pro at packaging. However, I consider myself pretty good at it. I have the right supplies, materials, and things to make sure that things don't break. I do have breakage every once in a while, but it's been a while. But like $11.18, the cake isn't worth the bake on the actual time to package it up, because it probably took me 10 minutes to package that thing up to make sure that it doesn't break. So there you go. Next was a very fast sale. This was a Tecovas, which is a boot brand. So if you don't know that brand, you should read into it or research it. It was a Tecovas long sleeve shirt. It was very cute. It was in like new condition, good size. It was a size large, I believe. I paid $4 for this at an estate sale about a week ago. So for $21.60, and so I made $14.16 in just 2 days. And I got like a lowball offer for like $14 the day before, and I'm like, no, I just listed this. I'm gonna wait. So that just shows you don't have to take the low balls if you know what you've got. So anyway, next is something that I took a lower offer on because it's been sitting for a little while. This was a vintage fall decor, Happy Harvest, little scarecrow and pumpkins. I paid $3.23 for him at Goodwill back in February. Got an offer for $10. I said goodbye. So I made a whole $3.50 after 140 days. While I love the kitschy cottage, maybe I didn't have the right keywords on this one. It was so cute. But I think I had gotten it home and he had like a little break on the back that he'd been repaired. So that's probably why he just didn't sell for as much. Next up was a 2002 Barbie My Special Scrapbook. It was unused. I had $1 into this in an estate sale back in March. It sold for $6.12. And so I made $2.46 after 113 days. I remember I bought this in like a bulk lot of books. I'm not sure why I have $1 on this one. I don't think I really paid that much for it, but anyway you cut it, this is just not something that's at the price point that I want to sell at. So I won't be picking this up again unless the comps on it change. Next is my best sale of the week that I've had since last November, but was super excited that I got sold. This is a vintage little Tikes ride-on chug-a-choo-choo train. It was the engine and the caboose. The caboose lid was still there. Sorry, I had to run, go take a quick break. Everybody just got home and I wanted to go say hello to my family. I think I was talking about the little Tikes Chug-a-Choo I've had since November. I paid $6 for this at an estate sale. It sold for $35.10. But I was able to finagle cheaper shipping, and I did give the buyer a refund as well, but I kept some of it to help cover the heavy handling cost that I had because it required extra packaging, etc. And so I made $48.43 after 252 days. Next is the item that I lost money on this week. This is a vintage Misty Harbor Any Weather khaki trench coat. I think it was the sizing that probably made it tough to sell. I paid $6.59 for this at a regular Goodwill last July. So I got an offer for $9 and I went ahead and accepted it, and I lost 37 cents after 355 days, which is, that's fine. Next is something that I just recently retook pictures of, and it finally sold. This is a cast iron turtle. I paid 50 cents for this at an estate sale last April of 2024, not 2025, 2024. It sold for $7.65, so I made $5.30 after 458 days. That just goes to show that if something's not selling, you need to go back, go look, check your shipping, check your measurements, check the pricing, check the pictures, because as a reseller, you're constantly learning what's working and what isn't. And I have retaken pictures on a few items recently, and a lot of them have already sold. Or I found that I was priced too high for the current market. I adjusted the price and it sold. I went back and looked at the shipping. The measurements were too big or it was too heavy. I've adjusted it and it sold. So don't just assume that it's something that is going on in the market. Check yourself first, get your own house in order before you start to blame like just what's going on in the market. That's just my humble opinion, because I feel like that has worked for me, but you've got to do what works for you. All right, next up is something that I picked up at the bins back in July. This is a set of 2 plush. It was from Raya and the Last Dragon from Disney. It was the Dragon Sisu and Tuk Tuk, I think is like the little armadillo thing. I'm $1 into these. They sold for $9, and so I made $5.03 after 12 days. So I found, I think, the dragon first. I picked it up because I wasn't sure if it was worth it. Turns out on its own it was not. But then later in the rotation, I found Tuk Tuk, and I'm like, okay, I can put those two together and make a lot, and then together they were worth it. So just keep an eye out when you're at the bins or elsewhere if like one thing's not worth it, but if you pick up another one and you can do a bundle, then definitely do that. And then the last thing that's sold on these 3 days is a new Hallmark Keepsake. This is Chippendale Up to Snow Good. It's from 2024. This is my laziness. No, we're not going to go with that. Idiocracy, maybe. I accidentally ordered 2 of these. One of them went to my picking partner for Christmas last year, and I missed the return window. Yep, sure did. And it has been sitting on my desk here for 7 months, and I finally listed it, and it sold for $21.60. So I made $16.30 after 8 days. So what have I said? The best part about reselling is selling your own stuff that you don't want anymore, but it still has value. So that is genuinely what brings me joy as a reseller. So as far as the allocation of where profit came from, I had about, this is the first time Goodwill did not win, probably because of the chugga-choo train in estate sales. 32% of my profit came from estate sales, 21% from Goodwill, 27% from other because of my parents' things and my daughter's things and my things that we sold this week. About 13% from yard sales, and then a mishmash smattering of other places. As far as the genre of where everything was from, we had about 41% of the profit came from clothing, including shoes and accessories, which is kind of starting to get back into my normal range. 27% on household items, which includes kitchen stuff, decor, everything, and then about 32% on toys, whether that is vintage or new, plush or hard, it doesn't matter. All right, so still marching to 1,000 subs. If you like this kind of content, I put out 3 reseller videos a week. A combination of what sold and hauls has been my recent MO. I am planning on doing one on my spreadsheet. I just have been incredibly busy with my day job and this part-time job and my family and back to school and all of that. So still planning on doing that. But I would genuinely appreciate if you made this part of the video, just give me a little like. It helps the algorithm know to push this content out to other watchers and that you're finding value in what you're hearing here. I appreciate you more than you know, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.